You know that I have notebook, the one where I write down anything that stops me, quotes, sentences, lines that crack something open in me. Whatever I can find to write on, my notes app, a sticky note, anything. Well, this time it came from a movie. I was watching Enola Holmes. And if you have not seen it, it's about a young woman who refuses to follow the path everyone around her has mapped out for her. And there is this moment where her brother, Sherlock Holmes, one of my favorite characters, by the way, looks at her and says, "You have two paths." And he means it practically, logically. The way Sherlock means everything. Here are your options. Here is what makes sense. Here is what the world expects of you. But Enola does not take his path. She goes and finds her own. And I just sat there thinking, that is it. That is the whole thing. That is what so many of us spend our entire life trying to figure out. One path that others choose for us, and the other path that we choose for ourselves. Because we all have those two paths in front of us. And the question, the one I want to sit with you today, is which one are you actually on right now? Welcome to Mic Check. Let's go. Let me ask you something honest. How many of the choices that shaped your life were actually yours? Not the small ones, not the coffee or tea, this restaurant or that restaurant. The big ones, the career you went into, the relationship you stayed in or left, the dream you pursued or quietly put away, the version of yourself you show the world every day. How many of those were truly, completely from the inside out yours? Because I think if most of us are honest, really honest, a lot of our biggest choices were not entirely our own. They were shaped by what our parents expected, what our culture said was appropriate, what felt safe enough not to attract questions, what would cause the least disruption to the people around us. We took the path others choose for us, and we called it our life. I'm not saying that with judgment. I'm saying it because I have lived it, and I know how quietly it happens. You don't wake up one day and hand someone else the wheel. It happens slowly, choice by choice, silence by silence, until one day you look up and realize you are somewhere you did not choose and you're not entirely sure how you got there. I know that feeling. And I know what it feels like to find your way back. There was a season in my life where I had to start over. Everything shifted. And suddenly, every decision, big or small, was mine to make alone. And I had never felt more unprepared in my life. So I did what you do when you have no choice but to figure it out. I started with small things. I enrolled in driving school on weekends. My friend would take care of my kids, and I would go sit in a car with an instructor and learn something most people figured out as teenagers. And I want to tell you, I was terrified, not just of the driving, of all of it, of the size of the life that was suddenly sitting entirely in my hands, of the fact that every decision from here, big one, small one, right ones, wrong ones, was going to be completely mine, with no one else to share the weight. That is a lot to sit with when you are just trying to figure out how to merge onto a highway. But I kept going. Every weekend, rain or shine, terrified and doing it anyway. And then the day came to buy my first car. I had a referral, someone who was supposed to help me navigate the whole thing. And he did help me. He also made a very good amount of profit off of me because I didn't know what I was doing. And I agreed to the terms for car lease very quickly. Well, good for him, honestly, because that car, that overpriced, negotiated against me car, was mine. My first big independent decision. My money, my mistake, my lesson. And I drove it home. And somewhere between that dealership and my front door, something shifted. Something quiet and real, like a door opening that had been closed for a very long time. So, this is what choosing feels like. Hmm. Even when you're scared, even when someone takes advantage, even when you get it wrong and lose money and have to learn the hard way, this is what it feels like to be in the driver's seat of your own life. And I was never going back. And then the real education began. Parenting alone, nobody tells you before you are in it that parenting is the most humbling series of choices you will ever make. Every single day you are deciding something. This boundary, this school, this conversation, this consequence. Without a manual, without certainty, without any guarantee you are getting it right. It is a test and learn every single day for the rest of your life. I remember one day I lost my daughter, my 3-year-old daughter, in the mall. I freaked out. And if you're a parent, you already know that feeling I'm about to describe. That specific, absolute, white hot terror of turning around and she's just gone. 1 second she was right there. Next second the world dropped out from under me. I was calling her name, moving fast, trying not to completely fall apart in the middle of a busy mall, while also completely falling apart in the middle of a busy mall. And then I found her, hiding between racks of clothes, eating chocolates she had somehow acquired along the way, completely unbothered, perfectly fine. And I just stood there looking at her, thinking, this is my life now. This beautiful, terrifying, chaotic, completely mine life. And every single day, I have to choose how to live it. Here is what parenting taught me about choice that nothing else could have. Every decision I made, every single one, I made it asking one question. Not what is easiest, not what looks right to the world, not what makes everyone around me comfortable. What is best for them? My kids. Always my kids. And that clarity, having one true north, simplified everything. Not made it easy, simplified it. Because when you know what you are choosing for, when you know your why, the choice itself becomes cleaner, even when it is hard. I did not always get it right. I still don't always get it right. But I always choose. And choosing imperfectly, uncertainly, sometimes expensively, is better than letting someone else choose for you. Every single time I want to talk about the voices that choose for us, because they are not always obvious and they are not always other people. Sometimes it is someone in your life with strong opinions about who you should be. Sometimes it is culture with very clear idea about what success looks like for someone like you. Sometimes it is fear, your own fear, that makes the decision before you even realize you're making one. And sometimes, and this is the one I want you to really sit with, it is a voice inside you that sounds like yours but is not. A voice that says, stay safe, do not risk it. Who do you think you are? Stay in your lane. That voice is not you. That is every external opinion you ever absorbed and mistook from your own instinct. Every raised eyebrow you internalized. Every time someone said that is not for someone like you, and part of you believed them. Your real instinct knows. It always knows. It knew when I enrolled in driving school, terrified, and went anyway. It knew when I walked into that dealership alone. It knew when I started cardio events, when I finally booked that Caribbean trip, when I started this podcast. Every time I listened to the real voice, not the fear, not the expectation, not the noise. It led me somewhere worth going. Get quiet enough to hear it. So, practically, how do you start choosing your own path? Let me tell you from my own experience. Get quietly enough to hear yourself. In the noise of everyone else's opinion, your own voice gets completely drowned out. You need silence, even 10 minutes, even a walk without your phone. Sit with the question long enough, not the answer you think you are supposed to give, the real one. Then, also separate what you want from what you think you should want. These are not always the same things. Ask yourself honestly, if nobody was watching, if nobody had an opinion, if the outcome was guaranteed, what would I choose? That answer. That is yours. Then also make one choice this week that is entirely your own. Not a huge life altering decision, something small. Notice the pull towards what is expected and choose something different. Because the big choices are just small choices accumulated over time. Practice choosing yourself in the small moments, and big moments gets easier. Also, own the choice completely, not just when it works out, always. Even when you pay too much for a car, even when you make a mistake, ownership is what turns a choice into a lesson. When you own your choices, you learn from them. When you hand them to someone else, you stay stuck. And also, stop waiting for permission. Nobody is coming to hand you a slip that says you're allowed to want what you want now. The permission has always been yours to give yourself. It was yours the whole time. I drove home from the dealership in a car that cost me more than I should have. I found my daughter between cloth racks eating chocolates and held her so tightly that my arms ached. I showed up driving school every weekend, scared, and did it anyway. And that was just the beginning. And every single day, I make choices for my kids, myself, imperfect, uncertain, test and learn choices, asking only one question: what is best for my kids? Not for the world, not for the appearances, not for anyone's approval, but for them. That is choosing wisely, not choosing perfectly, not choosing boldly, not choosing in a way that impresses anyone, choosing with intention, with your eyes open, with your why clearly in front of you. And here's what I know after everything: the path others choose for you will always be there, familiar, mapped out, safe enough. But so will yours. And every single time you are standing at the crossroad, every single time you hear a voice saying, "Here are your two paths," remember what Enola Holmes did. She found her own. You always have a choice, so choose wisely because the choice is always yours, and so is the life that follows it. Before I go today, I want to ask you one thing. Is there a choice in your life right now that you have been letting someone else make for you? Sit with that honestly. And if the answer is yes, what would it look like to choose differently? Even in one small way, even today. Drop in the comments. What is one choice you are making for yourself this week? I will be there reading every single one. See you next time. Bye for now.